So, Brandi, tell us a little bit about what vendors are involved in planning a wedding. So, for a bride to know who those vendors are, really, like somebody who's starting out who doesn't know anything about, venue, maybe caterer, maybe can you maybe give us a breakdown of a list of what vendors are involved in a wedding? Maybe even some vendors that we didn't even think about.
Sure. So I hope I don't miss any, because honestly, a wedding consists of a massive team of vendors collaborating to bring this event to life. We have obviously the venue, and then your dress, so your bridal boutique, and then photographer, wedding planner, coordinator. You have a caterer, you have your baker for your cakes or your sweets, and then videographer, DJ. Lots of times they'll do uplighting or special effects as well, or photo booths.
Now, I do have another question. Does a wedding planner, you told me the difference between a wedding planner and there's also a coordinator. Can you explain a little bit more about what the job descriptions of a wedding coordinator is versus a wedding planner? And then if somebody were to not have either, obviously they're responsible for calling all the vendors.
Right.
But how does that break down in wedding coordinator versus wedding planner?
Sure. So for my company, like I mentioned earlier, we have packages from coordination all the way to full service wedding planning. So our coordination package is more of executing the day of the event. So they kind of do the planning themselves. They get their own vendors. We can recommend vendors. We have a recommended vendor list that we like to share with clients, but they usually pick all of that stuff. They do all the planning side themselves. Okay. And then about a month prior, our team will come in, they'll send all the contracts. We like to read over contracts and invoices, mostly to make sure nothing's contradicting. For example, they really want a sparkler exit, but sparklers are not allowed with their venue. They we're about to order our sparklers. No, don't. And we can tell them, you can't do that because of this.
No,
But we really use those to pull together and create an itinerary. So about a month before, we'll create a detailed itinerary, and we'll go back and forth with the couple until they are comfortable with that itinerary. And then it's our job to execute what is on that itinerary for that coordination. So for our planning clients, we have partial planning and then all the way to full service. So that means that we are there to help with the actual planning process as well. So coordination, execution on the day of, but also the planning leading up to. And depending on which package they choose, it could be some of the planning, we go to some of the meetings with them, or we book some of the client or some of the vendors for them, or full service. We're involved every step of the way. We sometimes have clients we're getting married, this is our budget, we want something beautiful, but I don't really care, and they want us to take charge. This is rare, but it happens. And then we have more commonly clients, this is what I want. These are the pictures I'm really inspired by. Help me bring this to life. And then we help them with that planning process. So really the difference is kind of in the term planner, the planner actually helps the planning process. A coordinator typically is there just to execute what you have planned for your day.
Okay. And obviously there's some tricks of the trade, or maybe some advice you can give a bride who doesn't get a coordinator or a planner. What would be your number one advice for, contacting or grabbing a vendor? What would be your best approach for that and getting a good deal?
Yeah, so I'll look at the camera. Organization is key. That is so important. So for all of our clients, we're very organized with each one. So we have a spreadsheet. I know everybody's not about spreadsheets, and that's okay. You can have a notebook, whatever, it doesn't matter. And just list out who your vendors are, their contact. You're gonna want that information for the day of your wedding anyways, for whoever is going to help you, family or friends that might help execute your timeline.
Right.
In case someone doesn't show up, that's a big part, just following up with vendors and be able to contact them. But just being organized, deciding, who you want, who you book, keeping track of payments and all of that stuff. So it's a lot of work, a lot of extra details and to do by yourself, but it is possible, but it's just a lot to juggle. And especially for day of, you want at least to pass that on to someone else so you can really thoroughly enjoy. And we really advocate, obviously, hiring a planner or coordinator, because your family and friends are so excited about your wedding day as well. And
you don't want to stress them out too.
Well, they want to be present, and usually lots of times mom will do the coordination if they don't hire a coordinator. But I'm a mom now too, so I completely understand. Like I want to be fully present for my kid's wedding. Like I don't want to be running around doing like all the hard work and chaos. Like I want to sit there and enjoy like the process. So, but if you can't, it's okay. I would still recommend probably not mom, like doing like a friend or something like that, and having everything organized for them so that they understand they're jumping in kind of last minute, and also giving it to them before the day of the wedding. Sometimes people will just pass it the day of. They need to be able to read it, understand it, and get a concept before just kind of figuring it out the day of.
Right. What would a bride expect? Maybe let's take 3 vendors. Let's say they're meeting with the venue vendor. What can they expect on their first meeting with that vendor?
A lot of venues are different. So I'll give you kind of like an idea, and it may not apply necessarily to everyone. I did work at a venue as I was getting my certification, and so what I saw with them, and it's kind of common everywhere else too, is so you obviously can expect to take a tour to see what the venue is like, see your different ceremony locations, reception locations, if they have multiple options. And you can also just sit and expect to be able to ask questions. Usually they have a packet of what their amenities are,
right.
And you can just kind of read through that, look at pictures, get inspiration, and pricing and stuff like that. And what I would suggest, especially when finding a venue, is kind of figure out what's most important to you in like a venue. Like, do they have a bridal suite? Like, some don't. Like, do you want to get dressed on site? Do you want your girls to have room to also get dressed with you? So just kind of deciding if that's important, guest count, how many people, and then just kind of make a list, visit like 2 or 3, and then like do like a comparison and see what works best for you. And sometimes, you know, the money and the cost is really dependent. It is easy to spend $8,000-$10,000, you know, like that on a venue or more. But just keeping in mind, you can usually expect when you visit a venue, or when you're trying to book a venue, weekdays are usually much cheaper. So if you're on a budget, maybe consider a Thursday or something like that, and you can usually save like half the cost.
Okay. Let's say a bride's going in to meet with the baker for the cake. What can they expect on their first visit?
So we love going on cake tastings with our clients. So usually the baker will ask, like, is there any specific flavor you want to try? I'll give you an option, and they'll like do like 5 or 6, sometimes more. And they'll give you like the standard flavors, and then let you pick a few fun different ones, and you'll get to taste them and try them out.
Which I've said this, you need to not eat before you go. This needs to be probably a meal in and of itself.
Yes, there will be a lot of options for sure. Unless you're not big, like sometimes we have like, well, cupcakes are kind of like cakes, obviously. You do cookies. We've done pies before, which are really fun, like individual pies.
Yes.
But just when you go to a tasting, just try the different ones. And a lot of people worry, well, what will my guests like? This is your wedding. I mean, that's very nice, but you should at least get what you like. If you're spending all this money, get something that you'll like and enjoy for your wedding.
Good idea. And the last vendor one example would be dress. So what can you expect for your first dress vendor visit?
Yeah, so just I think it's really important for trying on gowns, because there's so many options, is have an idea, because you're not going to be able to try on a million dresses. You may want to, but you need to kind of figure out what shape you have, what would complement you, and kind of going in and letting them know, I'm looking for this style. And they'll usually pick out a few for you. Sometimes they'll let you pick out a few on the floor, but just know you're not going to have like a massive selection. You can still get what you want, but just go in kind of having an idea already, but also be willing to step outside of that box of what your idea is, and be willing to listen to the professionals that work there. This is what they do. They may see your body shape, like, this would be perfect on you, or, you know, you might have broader shoulders, so like a different sleeve might work better for you. So just kind of being open to their suggestions, but also having an idea so that when you show up, everybody's just not like, what do we do?
And obviously knowing you don't have to pick on any of these vendors that day.
Oh, absolutely.
You have plenty of time
It is okay to shop
around, get second, third opinions.
Yes, for sure.
And going back to our styled shoots that we talked about earlier, what is so special about bringing in a lot of those vendors? You were talking about, they get to advertise, they get to show off their talents. What else would you like to add to that about the styled shoots?
Yeah, so it is obviously a really good opportunity for marketing for vendors. So we get really great photographers coming in, and it's really fun because we have multiple photographers. So you might have like a light and airy photographer, but also a dark and moody photographer, or somewhere in between. And so it's fun to kind of see the different styles, and especially how like your vision and design come to life with those different styles. And it's good for the different vendors and like the models that participate for their portfolios and things like that, to have that diversity, and they can use it for marketing to gain more clients and to showcase their talents.
Great. Okay. And remember, you can go on Facebook, Instagram, Styled Shoots by Next Chapter Weddings. If you're interested in maybe being a part of that, it's a great way, great exposure to a lot of the vendors that Brandi works with in Next Chapter Weddings. You can also go on our website for a lot of linked to vendors to see those.